And welcome to the Lindy's postgame report. I am the coach, Dick Cox, coming to you live today from Bank of America Stadium as the Carolina Panthers took on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals came in to today's ball game with a 2-0 record, while the Carolina Panthers tried to rebound from a very disappointing loss last week in Atlanta and came in at 1-1. Today's ball game started out kind of slow for the Carolina Panthers, as the Panthers were not able to generate anything on offense on their first possession and were forced to punt. The Cincinnati Bengals got the ball on their first possession and were able to drive the ball down the field for 75 yards on 9 plays and were able to score on a Giovanni Bernard a 1-yard run to take a 7-0 lead early in the ball game. Carolina scored on their next possession when the Panthers took it 9 plays, 75 yards, and were set up on the touchdown by a 45-yard run by Christian McCaffrey to get the ball down close. But Cam Newton was able to score on a 2-yard run to tie the score at 7-7. Carolina's next possession, coming after a turnover on an interception by Jackson, the defensive back, they were able to drive 67 yards on 9 plays, and Newton connected with Devin Funchess for a 4-yard touchdown pass, and the Carolina Panthers were up 14-7. After a drive by Cincinnati that looked like it was going to end in a fumble, after further review, Cincinnati quarterback Andy Dalton was ruled an incomplete pass and not a fumble, so they were able to continue their drive, and they were able to take the ball again on an 11-play, 75-yard drive and scored on a 1-yard pass from Dalton to his tight end, and the score was now tied 14-all. Just before halftime, Cam Newton and company were able to put together a 7-play, 75-yard drive that ended in a beautiful setup play with Cam Newton's screen pass to C.J. Anderson for 24 yards, and he had a caravan of offensive linemen out in front of him. After the game, Cam Newton said he told them in the huddle, those linemen, you better get your fat butt down to the end zone because we're going to score on this play, and sure enough, they did, though. So at the half, the Panthers led by the score of 21-14. In the second half, Carolina added to their lead as Newton and company were able to intercept the ball, and a young man named Effie O'Donnell actually was added to their roster off the practice squad just before game time. Young man comes in and finds a jersey in his locker, a storybook day, and took advantage of it by intercepting a pass, forced the fumble that ended up resulting in the incomplete pass thing, but created havoc in the backfield, played himself a whale of a ball game today, but he was able to force the interception after it was tipped. He intercepted it at the Bengals' 26-yard line. From there, Cam Newton scored on a 5-yard run to give the Panthers a 28-14 lead in the third quarter. Andy Dalton and company came roaring right back with a drive of their own, going 5 plays, 75 yards to tie the score on a 28-yard pass from Dalton to Boyd, and your score was now 28-21. After several possessions by the teams in the fourth quarter and a couple of turnovers by Cincinnati on interceptions, the Panthers were finally able to ice the game with a little over a minute to go when Graham Gano connected on a 38-yard field goal with a little over a minute to go to give the Carolina Panthers their final lead of 31-21 today for the Carolina Panthers. The story of today was Christian McCaffrey. Last week, McCaffrey came up with a career and franchise-tying 14 receptions in a loss to Atlanta. But today, he had a career-high 28 carries for 184 yards to lead the Panthers. No, he did not get any touchdowns today, but he set up plenty, and he said that's fine with him. Whatever way they want to use him, just so long we score, that's all that matters to me. We caught up with Ron Rivera after the game, and this is what Coach Rivera had to say about today's game.
That offense when you hired North?
Yes.
I really appreciate the things that we saw today. I thought they did some really good things. Coach really, gave Cam some options, some opportunities, and Cam made some great decisions. Christian ran hard, played well. Liked the way Coach mixed up the different personnel groupings. I thought that was outstanding and really used them to our advantage, and it showed. Bringing CJ in and running what we call 21 pony and with all the shifts and motions and movements led to some plays. So yeah, David, to answer your question, yes, that's what we envisioned.
Front to produce.
And that was what Ron Rivera's thoughts were on today's ball game. We had a second just to catch up with the young man, again, out of the storybook today. His name is Effie O'Donnell. And, again, he was a practice player. He was a foreign player that last year made the practice squad under NFL rules with foreign players, but this year he made it on his own. And Coach Rivera and Marty Herney, general manager, decided they were going to get together, and some of these players that were really busting their tail on the practice squad doing a good job, they were going to add them on game day to the 53-man roster. This was a young man who got his chance and, again, made the most of it. But this is his excitement of what he had to say.
What was going through your head during that play?
At first, I thought it was a pull play, like as a run, and then sort of quarterback threw it the other way, and I saw the ball. And see ball, get ball.
Did you see it?
Again, you could see the excitement in Effie's voice there in the locker room post-game. But, again, the man of the day today was Christian McCaffrey. He stepped up in a big way, again, showing last week what he could do, catching the ball out of backfield. This week, running between the tackles. But this is what Christian had to say after the game, a very humble Christian McCaffrey after today's ball game.
I guess that's what that means.
How satisfying, not that you needed to prove anyone wrong, but that all the talk has always been, can he run between the tackles and to put up 184?
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. I think he starts up front. The O-line, all the stuff that they've been through, to see what Coach Masco's done with them, and to see how they've kind of come together through everything, no complaining, no anything, and just go out there and ball the way they have has been really fun for me to watch, obviously. So, big team win, and we're excited to keep this momentum going.
Christian, I'm wondering if you can break down that.
Again, McCaffrey talked a little bit there. He was also asked the question about, does it bother you that people say that you cannot run between the tackles in the professional ranks? And this was his comments about that.
The more and more I go through this league, I learned that it's never been about proving anyone wrong or proving anybody right, just proving myself right. And that's the biggest thing that I've had to mentally take over as I continue to grow.
How much nice?
So Christian McCaffrey today with a huge ball game as he comes up with a career-high 184 yards on 28 carries. The Panthers now move to 2-1 and will have a bye week next week, that they get the week off. And Coach Rivera said that probably came at a good time. You hate to have it this early, though, but with so many things going on in the community and the area, with all the flooding that took place with Hurricane Florence and all, he said the team will get some days off with their families, the time to reflect, and then they got to gear it up for this stretch the rest of the way with no breaks throughout the rest of the season, though. So, again, the Panthers will come back 2 weeks from today to take on the New York Giants today here at Bank of America Stadium. We will be here to bring you all the action of Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants then. I hope you have a great week. Reporting for Lindy Sports, I am the coach, Dick Cox.